Okay, here we go with installment number 2. It starts off with a good situation that happens a fair number of times in the court. Let's see what happens here at regular speed. Here's the approach by Gale. Here's the winner through the middle of the court. And so let's break this down. Okay, so what happens on this is Andrea hits the ball short, and it lures Gale up into the court, where Gale comes in and Barb stays back. And what we have is a scenario where the two net people are on the same side of the court. If you look at Gale and Amy, they're both up. And strategically, this is not a good move to be in if you're receiving this next ball, because with Barb staying on the baseline, what this does is this is how you open up the middle for your opponents. So you can see Gale still moving in there. So if you catch yourself in this situation, I can't tell you how important it is for this person to move up, because by moving up, you're closing down that gap in the center, and by staying back, Barb stays back, Gale moves in, and as Gale's moving in, it's expanding the middle of the court, or the target area for Andrea. So let's watch what happens. Andrea's got an angle to work with, and she's got this angle. She sees this right in between the two of them here. I mean, this is pretty blatant as far as where she can go with this shot. And sure enough, she bisects those two players, goes across the middle, and that's a tough play to cover. So again, to neutralize that, either the best thing to do is for Barb, when you're in Barb's situation, come up with your partner and keep that middle as small as you can. Or if you're in Gale's position and you get suckered in like that, is to backtrack maybe one or two steps, and that gives you some coverage into the center. And the cool thing about this again is, if we look where Amy is, and look how Amy is basically has left this wide open, but she can do that on this situation, because when this ball is going through the middle like this, if anybody gets the racket on that ball, Amy is just right there to pick up, what's left over in the point. So, and you'll see this situation happens a fair bit on the tennis court. And so whenever you're in Andrea's position and you see your opponents in this position where the opponent's net person is facing your net person, go right through the center. You can't lose on that one. Okay, here we go. Let's take it forward now. This is some kind of point there. All right, let's go ahead and move that back a bit. Here we go. Okay, at this point, okay, these are the visual cues, because we have Amy and Andrea, and you can see where they are. They're in a relative aggressive position midway up in the box. But the thing I want you to look at here is what Andrea's ball did subtly to Gale's feet. Watch her feet, and you can see she's back on her heels. And you can see her left foot's up in the air. She's leaning back on her right foot. Now, visually, I think you can all see what that is telling you. It's telling you, I think a lob is probably going up, and there it goes. So obviously, when you can pick up those kind of visual cues, both Andrea, when you're in those positions, you would just backtrack towards your service line a little bit to defend your own lob as best as possible. Here we have a lob where, fortunately, Andrea, fleet of foot as she is able to run this thing down. So Here we go. Andrea's barely getting the ball, and so Gail and Barb are just being tremendous spectators back there watching this fabulous lob as Andrea's running into the back curtain. Please, players, move up behind these shots. Don't stay back and let your opponents back into the point. And, you know, from Amy's position, yes, she is looking into the other court here for a moment, but what is good here is because she knows Barb and Gail have not moved up, and that affords her the opportunity to stay up on the service line in most cases. Had they been coming in, you know, from Amy's position, she would certainly make an adjustment to that, hopefully, and back up towards her baseline. Let's scoot this point forward. Here we go. And there she is now backing up. She's got plenty of time to do it because nobody came in off the other baseline. So moving forward. So after pushing Andrea back, Gail, this is such a smart play because Andrea is clearly way behind the baseline, so she dinks it short. Okay. So here we go. Gail's playing offense behind a pretty good drive. Andrea's inside the baseline. Don't see a lob coming. Sure enough, she hits that drive. And the only question is Gail up there enough to make a play on this? And I think she makes an error off of this because if you look at where she is on the court, if you look at where her feet are, she's just a shade in front of her service line. And if you're going to come in, then come in. And because obviously as a volleyer, when you're able to hit from above the net, it certainly gives you different results than when you can have to play below the net as you're seeing here. And that volley is popped up, which gives Amy some time to play this. This is a great point because a lot of different things are happening. So now we're, you know, pretty standard position, points back into a neutral position, and the lob pushes Amy back a little bit. And what does she do? She lobs into the middle. I love that play. Okay, and so these kind of scenarios, I really think, again, broken record, you know, Barb's hitting from 10 to 15 feet behind her baseline. Let's move up into the court, possibly take these balls a little bit earlier than what we're doing. So the lob goes short, and you can see where I think Gail plays this right back to Amy. And so with both players back on the baseline, I think we can all agree that the target area should be more through the center. Even if it's not a winner, by pulling Amy into the center, it does open up the angle for anything that comes back. She can go over here. But when you play the ball directly back to your opponent, as she did here, which is, you know, keeps the point in neutral, but you're really not pulling anybody out of position to finish off this extremely long point. And so Amy makes a nice play off of that. And here we go again. So now the question is, let's see where Amy goes with this. She goes into the center. A good play. If it's lower, it's even better. And Gail misses a relatively easy shot, but you can see playing just these innocent, smart shots like right into the middle. And if you, again, seeing that Andrea, again, if we look at her feet, she's back on the service line. And when you go into the middle with your opponents back on the service line, it's very rare that they're going to be able to beat you off of those shots. So high percentage play, well done. Let's move forward. Okay, let's see what happens at this point. Solid return. Andrea moves up into a nice aggressive position. And here comes Gail. Solid point. Okay, here we go. We're in this situation again. And, oh, God, thank you so much. Andrea, there's that play again. I love it. And let's go ahead and get this point going. And here we go. Andrea's moving right up on this. And let's see where this ball crosses the net. Right about here, it's crossing the net. And again, when that ball's over that net strap, is this a ball that we can get to? Sometimes, yes. And I encourage you to go after those. So here we go. Gail's coming in behind that strong, deep shot. Now at this point, okay, it's pretty deep, wide volley. And Andrea's giving a little bit of ground. And you can see how, a couple of things here, you can see how Gail is tracking the ball, moving into the center. She's committed into this, so obviously she's looking for a volley. She is vulnerable for a lob, but she's got her partner back on the baseline to help out. More importantly right now, if we look at Andrea, her partner's been pulled wide. As she's backing up with Gail coming in, obviously just slide a little bit more into the center, because if that net person is able to get their volley on it, it's certainly going to go through that area. Amy plays a good ball up the line, and watch yourselves here, because we've got a lot of area between the two of us. And again, just be aware of your spacing and just keep those gaps as small as possible. Here we go, moving forward. Okay, now we go into the standard one up, one back with Barb, with those deep high balls that she hits. And the same scenario that we've seen happen in the past has come up. Here's a deep ball. Gail's not quite sure if a volley or a drive or a lob is coming her way, and Andrea has picked up on the fact that she's back on the service line. So here's the combination. You have a forehand with good topspin. We have a net person that's back on the service line with a two-handed volley, and when you put that all together, this ball that Andrea hits does not have to be a winner. She just rolls it into her feet, which she does, and you can see how she's forced to play this ball above the net. And again, what we want to look at is, Andrea's partner Amy here, if she can pick that up and quickly scoot into the center, because a lot of times those volleys are popped up short in front of her or short across the middle, and you want to just be there to pick it up. Okay, so let's take a look at one more point in this sequence right now, and I think we have a good one coming up. So let's take a look and see what we got. Oh man, this is good stuff. What a point, back into the middle. I love that. All right, so let's move it up. And let's break this point down. Okay, deep cross court. Now at this point, Andrea's backtracking like that, and you can see Gail put the brakes on. You don't want to get too close on that with someone hitting from their heels. Okay, so great movement to the ball. You see how Amy's adjusted. She's moved over into the center, and which pays dividends right here, because look at this, with her positioning, moving into the center where the ball was. Now she's getting ready to play the shot. Gail has picked up on the fact that, oh my God, here it comes. And look at that, Gail. That was great movement, because this is where instincts come into play, and you really sometimes you're not even aware of what you're doing, because I want you to notice how, with Amy moving subtly to her side, by Gail mimicking that movement, watch how they both float over to the side. Amy's moving over to adjust the ball. She's moving to her left. Gail is moving with her, and by doing so, this moves you right into the natural path of the hit, which allowed her to make that, as opposed to if Gail had not moved at all, she wouldn't be able to make a play on this at all. So here we go. We're back into the point. So Andrea's got this forehand right now, and if you were a player, where would you hit it? I would probably go through the center right now. She could also play it up the line, and those are her, what I see are her two basic options. So let's see where she does go with this ball. She goes across the center of the court. Guess what? To that two-handed, there's that top spin, low ball. Sounds like a broken record, doesn't it? Okay, and this time she's able to pop it up and keep the ball in place. So great play, Gail. And moving forward, Andrea plays it back into the center. Good play. And wins the point. So again, that combination, when you're able to hit that low ball through the center into a two-handed volley, keep that in mind, because most of the players you play against have two-handed backhands along with two-handed volleys, and it's a definite weakness in my mind when that two-hander has to play a low ball. So that completes our second installment. Well done, everybody.